Okay, so the latest on the race for House Speaker. Representative Jim Jordan, he will remain on the ballot for the third time. A vote is expected today. Maybe he'll get elected. It's not looking so hot so far. 22 Republicans voted against him on the second ballot on Wednesday. That was 2 more no's than the day before. Jordan's 199 votes. It's the first time in 100 years that the majority party nominee received less than 200 votes. Despite his endorsement by President Trump, he has not been able to rally his party around him. In the meantime, some Republicans are looking to expand the powers of interim Speaker Patrick McHenry. So a little update for you there. We'll keep watching Washington. There's also a new poll that finds many voters believe that the opposing political party, the one they don't belong to, is bad for the country and that democracy is no longer working. The University of Virginia Center for Politics survey finds more than half of supporters of President Biden believe that Republicans are a threat to life in America. 47% of supporters of former President Trump believe the same thing about Democrats. This poll also had a disturbing find. A sizable share, about 40% on either side, believe the parties have become so extreme that it's acceptable to use violence to stop them. Let's bring in editor-in-chief of The Hill, Bob Cusak. Bob, who in the world are these people they surveyed, and what violence are they condoning?
Well, there's a lot of anger out there, and that's been, I think, the case for the last 10 years. I mean, politics has become more dangerous. There's always been political violence, of course, but in this country, we've seen an uptick, and that is actually not a good sign for the people in power because they're upset with what's going on. I think it's a troubling spot for President Biden, who wants another 4 years. But clearly, I mean, whether it's in Congress or voters, a lot of people can't talk to one another about politics anymore.
Yeah, well, anger is a secondary emotion if you talk to a psychologist. So really, there's a lot of disappointment out there as to what the world has become. Some are even saying that America should explore alternative forms of government. Like what, Bob?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. But these are troubling times. Certainly, I think the United States is going through an inflation hangover, a COVID hangover. And there's obviously, with 2 wars going on, it's kind of a down period. And that's troubling. But as far as like changing our system, well, I think our system has been working for a long time. And I think we'll survive this time. But certainly, it has gotten more dangerous, both domestically and abroad.
I feel like everybody needs to take a trip, go to another country, and then come back and just be thankful they live in America. There are a lot of people outside of this survey who believe it's worse today politically than it was in the civil rights era. When you look at the numbers from this poll and how frustrated people are, is there credence to that? Are we seeing worsened conditions today than we did, say, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was alive?
I mean, listen, there's always been difficult times and different challenges, whether it's during the civil rights struggle or political assassinations. But to your point, Adrienne, I was talking to an ambassador last night, made the same point that Americans really need to see that, listen, this is the greatest country, but a lot of people don't think that it is. This country has problems, certainly, but there are a lot of people who think we need to change systems or change the whole thing to what has been a very successful 200 plus years, thanks to the Constitution.
Yeah. And I would just imagine every time I see these surveys, I'm thinking, OK, who did they talk to? What was the breakdown of demographics? Is there any accountability for surveys and polling, like a governing body? I feel like sometimes these polls themselves are crafting a destructive narrative that is hopeless and provides no answers, just statistics that make us all feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, there are some people in this country who give Vladimir Putin a good approval rating. Who are those people? You know, and now maybe they're protest. Maybe they're just so angry with the system that they're telling pollsters things that they don't think. Hopefully that's the case, because otherwise it's pretty troubling.
Yeah, the world is upside down. But again, I would not want to be anywhere else but right here in the U.S. of A. Bob Cusak, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.